You're listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson, the podcast that tells you what it really takes to build a business and the simple steps to get you there. I'm determined to share with you the reality of easy, simple business marketing tips to make passive income so that you can start making money online. Making Money Online is sponsored by Nicola J. Rowley PR, helping entrepreneurs and brands get visible through strategic storytelling. If you're serious about being seen and impacting the lives of others, harnessing the power of PR is the best way to grow and scale your business. Visit njrpr.com for more details and read Nicola's best-selling book, The Power of PR. Welcome to this week's episode. Today, we're going to be talking all things networking and marketing and, starting off because not everybody's already in business. Some people are thinking about having a business, or maybe they're only a year into their business and they're not doing quite as well as they want to. So I've brought an expert in to help you today. I've got Lucy Rennie. Lucy helps small business owners to build and grow a business that they love and that makes an impact, which is really important to her. So welcome to the show, Lucy.
Thanks, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Let's start off with how you got into this, because you kind of went the corporate route like many of us do before you got into entrepreneurship. So what were you doing in corporate that led you to this?
Yeah, so my story all started kind of way back when, sort of 20, 25 years ago now, when I was doing French at university, business at university, and had really no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I loved business. I'd always worked since the age of maybe 12, 13 when I started washing pots in the local pub, and then the Chinese restaurant, then the chemist after school and school holidays. I think I've always been a workaholic really since I was kind of young. I just love getting under the skin of the business. And then I've always loved people and I've always loved communication. So that's why for me, learning French and doing international business was really important, because I just love learning about cultures and people and getting to know how people tick and what makes them work and, all those good things. And I started really my career, I suppose, in France. I had to do a year in France for my degree and just loved it over there, and decided that's where I wanted to stay. That's where I wanted to build my base. And in the beginning, it was kind of, oh God, I don't really know what I'm going to do. So I started working for a company that helped big companies to communicate and to understand cultural differences in the workplace. So, for example, the first client I was working with was actually Airbus. And I know you'll appreciate this, Lisa, because I was actually there at the time when they were starting to build the A380.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether people know this, but actually the aeroplane is built around Europe. So there's like the wings are built in England, the fuselage is built in Germany, there's a bit built in France, a bit in Spain, and then they bring it all together to kind of basically build the puzzle and put it all together. Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of this big European project that they want to, that's what the idea was. The problem was that actually, because they were doing different parts in different countries, then culturally and the way people work was completely different. So I was working in France, in Saint-Nazaire, which was the part of Airbus that made the fuselage. And I shouldn't really say this, but everybody was running late. Every country was running late in their part of the project right at the very beginning, but nobody kind of wanted to put the hand up to say, oh, we're running late, we're the first ones, so it just kept going on and on and on. So yeah, that was where my first passion came for kind of big business, corporate, and really I was helping them so the French guys were getting frustrated with the way that, for example, the English would fly in, come in, they wanted to get down to business, they had a day and they had maybe 5 hours for a meeting to solve all the problems they needed to do. And then the French would like to stop at 12 o'clock. They stop and would like to have a sit-down meal when they talk. That's it. And they'd have a 2-hour discussion. So there were all these things that we just take for granted in the way we work, but actually culturally it's different. And I think that's where my passion for people started, was kind of understanding and recognizing that we're all different. And actually we have to adapt to our audiences and to our clients and to the way that we work with people.
And what made you leave then?
I was actually headhunted by the steel company, which is called ArcelorMittal. And it was actually one of the guys he was actually the CEO of France at the time. I'd met him at a different meeting with Airbus. And he said, come and work for me, come and be my PA and help me to kind of grow the business. And I think it was also because at the time he had to do everything in English and he couldn't speak a word of it. So he kind of knew that if he could get me on this, because at the time I still do today, but I speak fluent French. So I was able to work with him and help him to basically do his job, but in English across the different countries. So yeah, because ArcelorMittal is basically the European steel industry. So again, it was a mixture of different countries all coming together under one big sort of corporate roof.
So it's all about communication again.
Absolutely. It was how, these different teams in different countries, different ways of working, different languages, different people, different histories, different cultures, all coming together for the same objective, which was to create and to build a brilliant steel business.
So you started in that, and then at some point you said, actually, I'm going to go off on my own. You had some really good jobs. So what made you decide to do that?
So fast forward 15 years, and at the time, my final job, because I worked my way up into the ranks of the organisation, at the end of it, I was head of communications then for basically the worldwide group. So I was looking after 360 different steel sites all around the world, which was basically like working with small business owners. So each site had its own leadership team. It had its own people, its own marketing strategy, its own objectives. And I was working with them to help them to do that, to help them to achieve their goals, to help them really get under the skin of their employees, to create engagement, but also to work with their local or target audiences to make sure they were selling the steel in the right way. For me, I think that's where I really understood that was where my passion is. So then in 2009, I moved back to the UK, but kept my job in Luxembourg. So for the next 5 years, I actually commuted every morning on a KLM flight at 6 o'clock in the morning from Manchester Airport. And yeah, because basically I spent 5 years just being in a steel centre around the world or a Hilton hotel. And that was what I was doing. I was working with the teams. I was helping them with the strategy. I was basically helping them to get to where they wanted to be to achieve their goals. And so I loved it. It was brilliant. It was a proper jet set life. But again, people kind of, I suppose from the outside looking in, looks really glamorous. But traveling every week, all the time, it does get a bit tedious and kind of that club sandwich. And that's the same in whichever country in a Hilton hotel.
Yeah.
But basically what happened was in 2014, I got pregnant and I had a little girl, Elia. And that was my pivotal moment, really. It made me realise that actually, even though I loved what I did, loved my job, I also really wanted to be a mum. I also knew that I couldn't really keep up that way of life and be there for my family, for my husband, for my stepson Joshie, for, just to be there. So I was back in Whaley Bridge, which is where I started sort of 25, 30 years ago with a new family, and was kind of thinking, oh, what do I do now? I don't know anybody here. I haven't lived here for sort of, a long time, especially in business. All my contacts were around the world. I had an international network. I didn't have a network in the Peak District or in the High Peak. And so it took a while for me to kind of think about, well, what is it that I really love? And that's when I think it's really important to do that, is to really tap into what it is that makes you tick. My clients always hear me talk about tummy flip moments and kind of, those moments when
what gets you excited?
Yeah, exactly. When you're buzzing and you feel, oh my God, this is it. And for me, that was about working with people, helping them to achieve their goals. Really I'm really good at seeing the bigger picture of kind of joining those dots and understanding, where people need to go or how they can grow the business. And so I decided that I could take the experience that I had from this 15 years working in corporate in my past life, which was, yes, it was one big business, but it was just like working with small business owners. And I thought, if I can take that experience, I could do that. So take that business model and apply it to small business owners in the UK and in the local area. I also realized that in the market, it was either kind of PR or it was real marketing, kind of, digital marketing, that kind of thing. There was nobody really helping them to create strategy, to think about the holistic approach, to think about how you communicate and how you can kind of look at the bigger picture. And so that's what I did. I decided in 2015, I made a logo, I made a quick website.
You did it all yourself.
Right,
everyone always does it themselves. But you had landed in this place not knowing anyone. I mean, there's plenty of people that say, I'm going to start a business, but actually they don't have any audience. They don't have any clients. And you didn't even have a network because you'd only just moved from France. So what did you do?
Good question. So I had to start somewhere. So I kind of just researched, really. I just thought, right, I just need to get out there. I need to go and find some people. I need to get myself known. I need to get visible. I need to make some connections. And the first ever meeting I did was I went to the local women's networking in the local cricket club. And I just went, and at the time I was still breastfeeding Elia. So my mum came with me. She sat in the car park with Elia. I remember I was so scared because I've not been out for a year. I hadn't done anything like this. I hadn't even worn high heels or anything for so long. And I remember getting in the lift, going up to this meeting room and just looking at myself, and I put my suit on and I was all kind of ready to go. And I realized I had baby sick and milk all down my shoulders.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
But I think it was such a joy to get out and to see people. And I think that's the thing that for me is really important about business, is it is all about people. And as soon as I got in that room, and as soon as I was able to start talking about what I did and who I was and my story and how I wanted to help, the reaction was just amazing. It was just, people were buying into what it was, and people go, oh my goodness, yeah, I can get that. I can see how you can help. So from then, really, that's what I was doing. I was literally showing up every day, different networking. I mean, literally every week I was getting out there, going to a face-to-face networking, which for me, I'm not going to lie, small talk isn't my favorite topic, but meeting people and understanding about them is. So yeah, I got and this is what I teach with my clients today, is I literally, at that time, I grabbed a big piece of A3 paper and I literally put me in the middle of it. And then I just kind of made a big mind map of all the people that I knew. It wasn't professional network because I didn't have that. They were abroad, they were in France, they were, elsewhere. This was about people I knew. So my parents, my friends, other mums from the baby group.
People get that, and people don't do this, do they? And this is the thing, like, people always say, well, I don't know anyone to sell to. They always know someone. They've just not thought about them in that way. So, the idea that you help people with, to like put a mind map out and go, right, who do I actually know? Because when you start thinking about it, you actually know quite a lot of people, and they know quite a lot of people who know quite a lot of people. And so you do have a network, even if it's not a business one.
Yeah, I think it's 100% that, because I think what we forget is that, again, people do business with people, and it all comes down to trust. So whenever you always hear business owners saying, we've got to kind of grow that know, like, and trust. And they always seem to be going about it the hard way, where they're going for that kind of cold reach, where they don't know anybody. They're starting from scratch and they're thinking, I've got to get all these touch points in place. And they're completely disregarding all those people who already know, like, and trust them, which are their friends, their family, the people sort of right under their nose. And for me, that's the biggest mistake that we can make. We need to tap into those people, because they're the people who love us. They're the people who want us to do well and who will shout about us from the rooftops without us having to really do much about it. They just need to know what we're doing, how we need them to help us, and kind of what they need to do to be able to refer you in.
And you've grown a big business by doing that.
Yeah. I've grown a 6-figure business just through my own network, through people, through referrals, through getting recommendations, through word of mouth, basically word of mouth marketing, which for me is the truest form of marketing, because it means you're doing something right. If people are referring you, if people are recommending you in, then that's the best way.
I think it gets lost a bit these days because we're all online, And, we are building audiences online. And I think sometimes while we're building those audiences, whether it's for a passive income product or something else, we forget that we can still sell while we're waiting. There are still ways to find people to sell to. And this referral system, word of mouth, is getting lost because people are working on their own so much that they're just seeing an online network, an online audience, and that's all.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the online space is an exciting space to be, but we've not got to forget that, actually running a business means we've got to sell something. We've actually got to do business. And the more we can do that, the more that we can get customers who are really happy with us, the more we can look after them and nurture them, the more that actually, that's going to create the ripple effect, because they'll talk about us more. People will see that we're doing business. We've got case studies to talk about. We've got examples to refer back to. And we're making our business viable. We're showing that it works and that we actually know what we're doing, which then helps with that online space because, we're proof that it works. So, yeah.
And we can make money in the meantime, which, a business isn't a business unless it's making money. And yet so many people wait to make money and don't offer things straight away. What do you see? Like, you help all of these small businesses with their marketing, with their communications, and with relationships, which you think is one of the most important things, I know. And with that, what do you see when people are starting in the first year or so? What do you think are the biggest mistakes people make?
There's a couple of things. I think when people start out, very often they have this idea that everything has to be perfect, that they have to have this shiny logo, this shiny concept, this great, and it's kind of this brand and it's a big thing. And actually, for me, it's the complete opposite we need to be doing. When we start, we need to actually be really true. We need to be honest. We need to show our face. We need to say, look, hey, I'm just starting out. This is what I'm doing. I'd really like to try, or I want to help, and be real about it. I think people are afraid to show their face. And we think, because they don't want to look maybe smaller than they want to be, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's when people write "we" on their websites, when it's "I" and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's counterintuitive, because if you think about how we are as consumers, the first thing we want to do, if we want to, engage with someone and trust them enough to buy from them, we need to know who they are. Yeah. We need to know their story. We need to get to know them. We need to engage with them. So that's probably the biggest mistake I see people doing, is not showing the face and being real and telling their story.
These days, and with a personal brand, you have to, don't you? Because like with a personal brand, it's about people knowing you. You can't hide behind a brand anymore. It's changed so much.
Yeah. And I think especially now, as we're coming out of the pandemic and we're seeing, a big shift in behaviors, in the way that people are looking either to work for brands or to buy from brands, the whole way we do that has shifted. When it's now people are making decisions based on the impact that you're making, about the values that you have as a business, that the societal impact that you're doing and what you care about. So even more so, it's a real opportunity, I think, for us to really show up, to really be that face to your brand, and really kind of, be the one who's standing up for this, or be the one who cares about this, or be the one that feels really strongly about this, because that's how people will come to you. That's how you're going to attract your kind of people, which is ultimately what we want to do as a business owner.
Absolutely, it is. So much information in one small piece of time. But I'm mindful of your time. If people want to find out more about how to market their small business and how to get going in their marketing and in their communications, maybe they're sitting there thinking, well, I really want to start and I really want to learn how to network properly and how to find out how I can do referral systems. Where's the best place for them to find you?
So you can find me on socials. So on Instagram, it's I am Lucy Rennie, and Facebook's the same. I'm also on LinkedIn. My website is iamlucyrennie.com, and I'll soon be launching my podcast for the love of small business, which you'll be able to find at the end of July. So yeah,
I'm excited about the podcast. It's going to be so good to just hear you interviewing people who are in small businesses, who are in those first few years, because we often hear about people in the multi 7, 8, 9 figure world. But actually, I think sometimes we can learn a lot from people who have just been through, their first 6 figures or even less than that. So I'm excited to hear that. Thank you for being here. It's been really good to chat to you all about all things business. Thank you, everybody else, for listening. And I hope you have an amazing day, whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you for listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson. If you would like to get your hands on my brand new book that's coming soon, then you can pre-order now and get lots of juicy bonuses. All you need to do is go to makemoneyonlinebook.co.